Scream is one of the best horror parodies ever, and here's how it still remains relevant to this day. Starting with the time Randy tells Ghostface to look behind him. So, in the first movie, the characters throw a big party, which is a common thing to see in horror movies. Randy tells Ghostface to look behind you, while he's really standing behind him. Now, this is one of the funniest things the movie does to poke fun at the horror genre. So often, a character has no idea that someone is following them, and the killer will follow them around their house for a long time before they figure out who it is. But they didn't really have to show the characters watching slasher movies. In the Scream movies, the character often watches the Stab films, which are based on a real-life horror story by Sidney Prescott. It's a meta take and a movie inside a movie, but it doesn't work very well. The movies are made to be bad on purpose, but you end up feeling like you've seen it all before. Also, everybody knows that horror movies have a pattern. So when a character points out something predictable on purpose, it just makes it funnier. Like when Randy talks about rules you must follow in a horror movie. Yup, you guessed it, the same rules for situations in which you don't want to die. He says, you might not make it through the movie if you have sex. And you might not make it through the movie if you say, hello, I'll be right back, or who's there? And here's the thing, this is one of the best ways that the horror genre is made fun of in Scream. The rules are one of the best known parts of the series, and they change a bit from movie to movie. There's also one film geek character who explains them, and it works really well, but Billy and Stu's big moment was one of the worst moments. Billy and Stu stand beside each other with their heads close together when they tell Sidney that they're the serial killers who have been scaring everyone. This is a subtle reference to the movie The Thing with Two Heads. There must have been a better way to explain this big moment though, because it's possible that many people just didn't get the joke, because I sure didn't. Then there's the classic bedroom window moment that I was kind of expecting to see, but worked surprisingly well for the movie. Yup, I'm talking about the part where Billy climbs into Sidney's bedroom window like in the Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised at how blatant this parody was. However, this scene in particular is played up a lot more in Scream, because Sidney isn't sure she wants to lose her virginity, and she gets mad at Billy because she's afraid her dad will find out. This is a great take on a scene from a well-known scary movie, but Gale Weathers tells the same story in every film, and that's a little boring to see again and again. Gale Weathers is a big part of the Scream series, but the character isn't very strong. She's a parody of small-town reporters who want to make it big by finding an amazing story and writing a book about it. Her boring coverage of the murders is an example of this. Gale wants to be famous and rich, but her character isn't that funny or interesting. She's the most annoying person I've seen on screen. There's nothing cooler than seeing the latest tech on screen, which also works for Scream. And in Scream 4, technology's more important. In the movie, people talk and text about how this time, the killer's filming the murders. This parody works well because technology is a big part of many scary movies, from Countdown to The Ring. Now that I've looked at all the ways that Scream worked and didn't work as a parody, let's focus on parodies in general. Comedies don't always bother with the same things that parody movies do. They make fun of things, we know. Even things we respect and look up to, by copying, subverting, and making references to them. So I compiled a list of some of the best parodies out there, starting with one based on Thunderbirds, Team America. Trey Parker and Matt Stone took a break from their hit show South Park to write and direct 2004's Team America World Police, a parody of the classic science fiction show Thunderbirds. Team America featured groundbreaking puppetry that hilariously parodied the premise of Thunderbirds, a highly trained squad of heroes with special vehicles, while also lampooning overly political celebrities and US foreign policy, with one of the most jaw-dropping sex scenes ever seen on the big screen. Then we've got an action parody that makes fun of war movies, Tropic Thunder. Ben Stiller directed and starred in the action movie parody Tropic Thunder, which came out in 2008. It was about action stars making a war movie in Vietnam, which gets dangerous and funny when they get lost in the jungles of Cambodia. Tropic Thunder makes fun of movies like Platoon, Its stereotypical cast of extreme method actors, washed-up action stars, hopeful rookies, and a rapper-turned-actor perfectly rips apart Hollywood with an honest look at the industry and its players. But nothing beats a movie that makes fun of the post-apocalyptic genre. This Is the End. This Is the End parodies the apocalyptic genre, where characters try to survive the end of the world. In the movie, a number of celebrities play themselves, or fictionalized versions of themselves that show how they'd act if the world ended. The rapture happens, and massive sinkholes swallow some while others are brought into heaven, and some are left to fight each other on Earth. Speaking of Earth, I know everybody on this planet loves Top Gun. But what they love more than Top Gun is its parody, Hot Shots. Jim Abrahams and Pat Proft made a number of funny parody movies that helped define the genre in the 1980s and 1990s. One of these was Hot Shots. Hot Shots didn't do as well with fans as it did with critics, but it did well enough to get a sequel called Hot Shots Part 2. Parodying action movies like Rambo: First Blood Part 2, and was released in 1993. Although, nothing beats a movie with an all-food cast, though. Sausage Party is perhaps the raunchiest movie about food, since it's a niche genre to start with. Between Deadpool and Joker putting R-rated movies back on top at the box office, this surprisingly smart capital R romp made fun of what it came to expect from CGI animated movies. There are a lot of similarities between this and the Toy Story series, but where the series spoke to our childhood dreams, this one spoke to our teenage ones. The meat between this tasty animation's buns is drugs, sex, and a surprising amount of bloody food dismemberment. If you haven't seen how this four-letter food fest ends, you haven't seen anything. And of course, then there are some low-key and kinda underrated parodies, like this next one, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. This movie's a parody comedy horror movie that's funny and not very well known. Anyone who likes comedic horror movies should check it out. Tucker and Dale are just trying to enjoy their vacation at their cabin in the woods when they're attacked by a group of college students who can't stop dying in horrible ways. The students think Tucker and Dale are serial killers hiding in the woods and killing college students. But Tucker and Dale are horrified that college students keep dying in accidents. It's a fun parody movie with a funny twist on the usual hillbilly killers living in the woods story. That's all for some of the best parody movies ever made. See you in the next one.